traction, just spinning wheels.
What is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Uberkooledgarage. On this week's episode, we're gonna jam on Ryan's car. We got a bunch of new parts in the mail. We're gonna start getting into all of that. As you can see, the garage is kind of moved around a little bit. You'll find out why in the end of the episode. But let's go ahead and hop into it. If you guys haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and hit that subscription button and then hit the notification bell. That way you guys get notified. We're going to really start getting into some really cool things. Get both of the cars running very shortly. So the next couple videos will be pretty good. So stay tuned for those. But for now, hope you guys enjoy this one. Got the rotors all safety wired. It was kind of, I don't know if it was easier on the car or if it would have been easier off. It was kind of hard to get the wire into certain areas. Like this one right here, the hole is on the bottom, so you gotta like fish hook it through there and then yank, and kind of difficult. But this is the first time that I've actually used safety wire. They turned out really good. So if you notice, I also went ahead and painted the shocks gloss black. The white was just completely messed up. There was a bunch of dirt and rust on them and stuff, and I went ahead and wiped them down with acetone, and when I did that, it pulled the majority of the white paint off. So went ahead, lightly scuffed them, painted those up. I also wiped down the actual shock tower itself and just threw a coat of paint on that, so that all looks really good now. The front sway bar was another one that was kind of difficult to get set and lined up and everything, but got that all bolted up. So all of this stuff is basically done. Also got the brake line set in there. So passenger side's done. I'm going to probably wait on the driver's side. All of it looks just like this. Everything's all set up and ready to go, but I don't want to put the wheel on there or any of that until I get the clutch master cylinder is on order, so that'll be here hopefully soon. We'll get that installed, get all the brake line or the clutch line installed to that, and then I can put the front wheels on it. And front suspension is done, front brakes are done, the fuel system up front is done, gas tank is installed. So basically everything underneath the front of the car is done, minus radiator lines. So after these couple little tiny bits here and there, I would call the front suspension completely done. So now we'll probably hop into the car and start mounting up the starter, the rest of the clutch line back there, and getting all that stuff situated. So let's go ahead and hop into that stuff. Got another package for Ryan's car. Got a throttle or speedo cable. So he didn't have one in the car, but since I have the front apart, it'll be pretty easy to route that in there and get that in there. Got a heavy-duty throttle cable, just because the springs that I'm probably going to use on the throttle return spring are a little bit heavier, and I don't know what condition the other throttle cable is in. I know in the past, I've seen quite a bit of fraying and stuff from that. We also got a new brake line that goes to the rear of the car, so we'll go ahead and replace that. Again, with the floor being as rusted as it is, I don't want to risk him driving around and losing brake pressure from a rust hole or anything like that, so might as well go ahead and replace it. It's a pretty cheap part, so I don't really mess around with brakes. I try and make them as solid as I possibly can. We also got a throttle cable thing, so that actually, these end up sliding directly into the stock Subaru throttle body, which works out awesome. That'll kind of take care of the whole throttle cable system. And then the next one is from Dan's Performance Parts. I order a lot of stuff from them. They have a really cool website. They kind of break it down really easy. They are really pretty fast at shipping, and they definitely help out whenever I need help with anything. So really good guys. We got the master cylinder from them for the clutch. So this will bolt in. Since I have the front stuff kind of taken apart, after that I can put everything back together and close it off. I don't have to get to anything under there. So if you guys are running a Subaru Trans and you have the hydraulic clutch system, you definitely want to run a 5/8. 3/4 is way too heavy of a pedal. It's really, really, really stiff. I think originally I had a 7/8 in my car, and then that was almost impossible to push down on the clutch pedal. The 3/4 was okay, but it was still really heavy. And then I swapped in a 5/8 from my buddy Maurice. Told me 5/8 is the way to go. So 5/8, it feels incredible. It's soft, but it's not too soft. So we'll go ahead and get all of this stuff bolted in, along with the starter, and finish off the clutch line. We can fill up the clutch with brake fluid, get that all bled out, and then I still need to look at the rear brakes and see what I need to hook those up. So once the rear brakes are in, we can bleed the entire braking system, bleed the clutch system, and then all of that stuff should be sorted. So we'll, at that point, start digging into motor stuff, battery cables, all that stuff. So let's go ahead and start bolting all this stuff in. speedometer cable in there. I forgot to have him order the clip for this, but I have a couple other things on the list that I need him to order. So I figured out the rear brake lines, so we'll go ahead and order some steel braided brake lines for the back. They are actually Volkswagen size, which is really nice. So I'll have them order a clip, which they're really cheap. Speedometer cable comes up through into the cab there. The brake lines themselves, I have to finish welding. Well, I have to weld this in real quick, and then retouch up paint. The clutch cylinder is in there. Got it all hooked up. Bent the line around, got everything tight, so we'll check it for leaks once I get the back section done. But all of that worked out really good. It's really nice and tight. The only thing that I'm probably going to do off camera is cut the threads back a little bit. That way it gives it a little bit of flexibility room. But that's all hooked up, and then once we get the back hooked up and the rear brakes hooked up, then we'll fill both of these up with fluid. Make sure we don't have any leaks in the entire system. But as far as up front here, those are the only things I have to do. I have to get a cotter pin and a spring for the brake calipers here. But other than that, everything up front is done, minus the welding of the front clip. But everything else is looking really good. So let's go ahead and hop in the car. We'll hook up the pedals to this, and we'll start hooking up all the rear stuff. So the starter won't fit. So let me see if I can grab the light so then you guys can see. So you can see the strut brace is right there. Goes all the way across the whole car, from shock tower to shock tower. So the starter won't go in. I don't know. It's a little bit too long, I think. So I gotta try and figure something out. I gotta put some spacers in the stiffy bar or something along those lines to try and space it out away from the starter, or maybe I might be able to unclip the top of the stiffy bar, get the starter in, and then slide the stiffy bar back in. Unfortunately, the way that I'm looking at it is the soft motor mounts, when the motor shifts back and forth, might rub on the stiffy bar. So I got to pull apart the whole stiffy bar anyway and try and figure out the lower mounts. That thing has been nothing but a problem. So hopefully I can sort it out and get everything all situated with the stiffy bar the way that it's supposed to. I mean, there are tons of people running them. Don't seem to have any issues, but for some reason with all of this setup the way that it is, it's just not working properly. So I guess I got to go underneath the car and take the stiffy bar out and see how I can adjust everything. All right, so laying underneath the car, you can see the stiffy bar up there. I got the pin out. Unfortunately, I cannot turn the rod. I don't remember if it's left or right or not. Feeling it, judging it, I would tend to say it's not. So I got another couple things under here that are concerning. So I think I'm probably going to have to pull the motor and trans, unfortunately. So I need to set the brake or the fuel lines where they need to go, get them all strapped down. If you look back here, it looks like the top of this tab is connecting with the frame horns. So I'm probably going to have to grind down a section of the trans right there to clear. Everything else on this side looks good. Another issue is, if you see right here, this tab is actually part of the engine mount, and it is connecting with the actual transmission. So I'm not sure. I know that this trans mount is supposed to work with everything. I know that there are a ton of people running these as well. I'm not 100% sure on why this is connecting here. The top mount is supposed to be for dual cam into a bug to kind of clear everything. At least I think that's the way that it is. I can't remember if it's the bottom hole or the top hole. But I'm pretty sure that the top hole bolted down here would be for a dual cam and a bug. That way the heads actually clear the engine sheet metal. So I am completely at a loss on why that is connecting. I don't know if the engine mounts on this motor are just worn out or what, but everything's bolted in right. That tab for the stiffy bar is actually supposed to go in here. So I guess I'm just going to have to pull the trans out. And it also looks like I have a drip somewhere right here on the axle seals in the transmission. So I've got a little bit of moisture down here. So I'm probably going to have to pop off the seal that's inside the axle right there. pop in a new seal. Those are relatively cheap. Mine on my car ended up doing the same thing. So pop in some new seals, fix this, fix the front, fix the stiffy bar, try and get the starter in there, make sure that all that clears, and then everything else is looking pretty good. The only thing else is I got to put a U shape in the coolant hose down here, and then everything down here should be okay. I'll also connect the clutch slave cylinder line up as well, get all that hooked up and set. So yeah, still a ton of work to do in here, but I guess it's just one of those things that we got problems, we might as well fix and sort them the correct way. So we'll start pulling the engine and trans. All right, so you can see that the bug is out of the garage now. Went ahead and pushed it out. I have decided some things on the bug. I'll get into that probably at the end of this episode. But got the Ghia pushed around. Should have plenty of room now to pull the engine and trans, get everything all situated and set up. Go through, re-clean all of that. Get all the bolts in the front cover here. Well, got to clean up those bolts, get them all nice and pretty. Put all those back in, re-clean up all of this stuff. Another thing that I kind of have noticed the last couple times I've moved the car, it seems like the rear end is a little bit lower than the front. So I need to raise up the rear as I have everything all pulled apart. Just to make sure that ride height is good. The front is up pretty high, but there's really nothing I can do with the front, so we're just going to match the back and do it that way. The actual fender flares kind of rub just a little bit the way that it sits right now, even though I kind of really like how the rear sits in there. It's nice and tucked and looks really good, but a little too low. So we'll raise that up. We'll get all the motor stuff done, the brake lines done in the rear, get everything in the rear done. We'll put on make the mount for the rear valance here, get that all bolted back in, go through the taillights, the wiring, all of that stuff, get all that stuff situated. And then after that, the only thing really left is to finish up welding the hood, the front apron, and the floorboards. And then we'll get the seats mounted, and it should be ready to go. Originally, we had talked about doing some kind of exhaust maybe, but I haven't really talked to him again since we talked about that, but I might have to make something temporary to bolt up. That way it's not just completely open head. So make some kind of blast pipes, and then he can take it to a exhaust shop if he wants to, or we can figure out a way for me to do it, you know, what he wants. So we'll get into that, but that's pretty much all the time I have for this video. So the next one, we'll be yanking this motor and transmission out and fixing all of the tiny little issues and getting this thing really close to running. So let's keep pushing forward on it. All right, guys, so that's all I have for you on this one. In the next video, we will be getting the motor and trans out of the car. We'll start getting everything set and ready for everything else. I want to try and make all of the parts fit the way that they should. If I have to modify them, I will. But I want to get everything situated in this car. The next couple videos are going to be on Ryan's car. I want to try and knock it out, get it done. That way he can come pick it up. Bugorama is in a couple weeks. I have decided not to bring the bug. It is the first Bugorama that it's not at the Speedway, so it's at a new venue. I don't want to rush to get the car ready and just tow it out there for a single day and do that. Instead, as soon as Ryan's car gets close to complete, we will bring the bug back into the garage and completely blow it apart, tear it all the way down to chassis, and then start finishing off what needs to be finished off and start painting it. So I want to try and get the bug done as fast as possible, as well as Ryan's car. So the next couple videos are definitely going to have a ton of work done in them. So stay tuned for that. Thank you guys so much for your support. Until the next one, peace out, guys.